Canary Wharf in East London, a few minutes' walk from Olympic Stadium. Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney is back with me now, along with his wife, Anne. Now, Anne, the good news is that, according to the latest polls, on the economy, 51% of Americans trust your husband more than Barack Obama, who gets 41%. The bad news is on likability, 60% like Barack Obama and only 30% like Mitt Romney. You're one of the people who would tick both boxes, clearly. You think he's right for the economy and he's likable. What are you going to do about making Americans like Mitt more?
I don't know about that one. But, you know, the 51%, we need to obviously get that to about 78%. I mean, about who's best to handle the economy. And I think at the end of the day, that is what people are going to really feel confident about, where they're going to go in the ballot box, because this economy is just sputtering along. We're even worried that it's going to go into another recession right now. And, you know, they're going to have to trust and believe that this is the guy that's going to get the job done and get the jobs back. And they're going to have to make that decision about an economic decision. Now, I'll work as hard as I can on the likability piece, because that's wrong, too. You know,
he seems a perfectly likable chap to me. I don't understand it.
No, we'll get over that one.
On the economy, clearly Barack Obama has decided your weakness, your vulnerability, is your record at Bain Capital. And it's a very divisive issue and quite a fascinating issue, because when I look at some of these attack ads, it's almost like he's attacking you for being successful and rich, which is not a traditional area of battleground to an American, from an American, because America was founded on working hard, achievement, success, and making money. How do you feel about the way that you're being attacked in that way?
Well, I think there are attacks coming for being successful. There are efforts to try and minimize people who've been able to build businesses and be successful. I think we as a society have long encouraged our kids to do well in school. We've encouraged people to get promotions at work, to work harder and do better and better. We value people who take an individual initiative to start a business and build it. And I'm proud of the fact that at Bain, the consulting firm, which I helped lead in a time of trouble, and also Bain Capital, which I helped found and helped build, I'm proud of the fact that we were able to strengthen enterprises that now employ a lot of people. We were able to invest the money of pension funds and charities. That's what Bain Capital did. It wasn't our money. It was other people's money. We were hired to invest. We invested it well, and we were able to invest in some businesses which grew and thrived, some of which have thousands upon thousands of employees. This is a very exciting thing and a very positive part of my record, but really at this stage, the key is who can get the economy going? Who knows something?
Do you accept that when you're running a company like Bain that was hugely successful, no one disputes that, you're going in, taking over companies, either you're investing in them as startups or, as it turned out to be, a more leveraged buyout situation. You go in and you give them your expertise. I think your preferred way was to keep the existing CEOs and incentivize them to do better with your help. And some succeeded, some failed. People have tried to portray you as a kind of ruthless money machine who, some failed, some succeeded, you didn't care, you still got your fees, or you made a ton of money. But actually, quite a few of the companies that failed, a lot of people lost their jobs, their livelihoods, and lost money. To me, the key question is, do you know instinctively from your recollections how many of those companies that you went into would have failed anyway if you hadn't?
Well, there's no question, but that a number of places where we went in and invested, we were investing in an enterprise that was in trouble, where the future was very much in doubt for it. And we invested in one business. I think it lost 50 or 60 or more $1 million the year before we invested. And a lot of people didn't want to touch it. And we were able to go in there with the current management team, help get the business back on track as an investor. The managers really ran it, but they were able to turn it around and see a real success, and it's still around today, doing quite well, and provides jobs for a lot of people. The idea that somehow making a business profitable is different than helping people is really a foreign idea, because the whole American free enterprise system is associated with creating success, making businesses profitable. That means they can hire more people and grow. And every investment that I made while I was responsible for an investment firm, every investment was designed to try and help the business grow and to become more successful. It killed us if something was not successful. If a business we started, for instance, couldn't make it, and there were several like that, but there were several that took off in ways we never would have imagined. There were other businesses that were existing businesses we wanted to make better. Most of them we did make better. Those that we didn't, we felt terrible about. By the way, we'd lost money, investors' money. We became investors ultimately in our career. We lost our own money in some of these cases. But the key was we wanted all of them to be successful. That's the nature, by the way, of the free enterprise system. Not everything you invest in is successful. Hopefully, most are. And as the people who invested with us, the pensions and charities and college endowments and invested with us know, most of our work was successful.
And how do you feel about being married to a man who was clearly very successful, made a lot of money for the family? Things that are normally applauded in America by other Americans. So they say, good on him. But they're trying to position this now as a negative against him, trying to position you and your family as too rich, out of touch with the average Americans, ruthless businessman, all that kind of thing. You've lived and worked alongside Mitt all that time. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think the whole piece that is missing is, again, where Mitt is coming from and what motivates him and what really drives him. And if you look at what really drives him, it's compassion, it's caring for others. And for me, it's an irony that they're trying to attack him in an area where he's actually shines the brightest. And I don't think that's an area where people would ever understand that. I don't think there are many people that would have been in Mitt's position, having been a very successful company, making a lot of money, and literally walked away from it and gone and done something as risky as running the Salt Lake Games and taking no salary for 3 years. I don't think there are many people that would sign up for that. And that...
Presumably, he could have made a lot more money if he just stayed at Bain, right?
Absolutely. It would have been a lot different.
I mean, I heard every one of the other partners is a billionaire. You must feel like you've missed out there.
Well, I can't characterize how well they've done, but they've done a lot better than I did. But I went on and did something which I cared very deeply about, and then ran for governor of Massachusetts and made a contribution there, and I'm doing this now because I care about the country.
And I think is that I wouldn't have traded that for any amount of money in the world, what the experience we had. And that is what is so wonderful.
Does none of us really annoy you that that's what people think you're all about, the Romneys? I mean,
Piers, there are people who are trying to attack success and are trying to attack our success. That's not going to be successful. When you attack success, you have less of it. And that's what we've seen in our economy over the last few years. Dividing America based on who has money and who hasn't, who is successful and who is less successful, that is not the American way. We're a nation. I heard Marco Rubio the other day. He said, we were poor living in Miami. We saw these big homes across town. My parents never said to us, gee, why don't those people give us some of what they have? They said instead, aren't we lucky to live in a country where with education and hard work, we might be able to achieve that ourselves? We're an achievement celebrating oriented nation. That's what's lifted us. It will continue to do so. And the attacks that come by people who are trying to knock down my business career or my Olympic experience or our success, those attacks are not going to be successful. People want more success. They don't want less success.
From here, Mitt Romney goes to Israel. After the break, I'll talk to him about a world increasingly in crisis. Let's move on to foreign policy. We're here in Britain. You're off to Israel, Poland. Clearly, whoever's president of the United States, hugely important, significant figure on the world stage. What is if you were to sum up your kind of overview of how you would like to conduct American foreign policy, what would you say?
Well, I go back to the early days following the Second World War, where Harry Truman and Dean Acheson, then Secretary of State, really created a foreign policy our nation has followed over the years, which is that we stand for something. We have American values. We promote them. We will be strong. We have military strength of our own, economic strength, moral strength. We link arms with our allies, and we promote our values through our strength, military and non-military, throughout the world. My own view is that having confidence in our cause and clarity in our purpose, as well as resolve in the application of our might, that those principles form the foundation of an effective foreign policy.
And there's no doubt that in the George Bush years, those 8 years, America's reputation took a pounding around the world, rightly or wrongly, because of the foreign policy, particularly the Iraq War. How will you be different as a Republican president? How will you avoid the kind of pitfalls, perhaps, that President Bush fell into?
Well, first I have to note that as tradition for our nation, I, being on foreign soil, avoid speaking about a new foreign policy or my foreign policy or doing that in a place that would in any way detract from the president's efforts to pursue his own foreign policy. So I really can't go down that path. I can tell you that I think President Bush took action which he believed based upon the information that was available to him, both from British intelligence and intelligence in our country and around the world, that Saddam Hussein presented a very serious threat to the world, including the potential of weapons of mass destruction. And he took action which he believed was necessary to protect our people and our friends.
America's had the reputation of being the world's policeman, certainly for my lifetime. It's quite a responsibility. Is it one that America continues to need to have? Do you need to be the world's policeman? Or as you see superpowers emerging, China, India, and others, is it time for that responsibility to be spread around a little bit?
I don't think anyone signs up for the term, when I say anyone, I don't think any of the leaders of our nation sign up for the idea of America being the policeman of the world. But nonetheless, America has been, and I believe must continue to be, the leader of the free world. And I think the free world needs to be the leader of the entire world. And being leader of the free world means having clear and defined goals and values, sharing them with other nations. I think our nation's leadership has been perhaps the greatest source of a national entity's good that you've seen on the world stage, freeing people from tyrants, spreading free enterprise and lifting people out of poverty, even in places like China. A great portion of China's strength today is the free enterprise system, which has been borrowed in some respect from our nation.
In terms of Syria, you talk about dictators and so on. People think Assad should go. There is a humanitarian crisis that's unfurling, getting worse by the day. What do you do? I mean, is the natural instinct of an American president, if you were there right now, would you be just saying, enough? We've got to get in there and take this guy out?
Piers, again, given the fact I'm on foreign soil, I really am not going to delve into foreign policy prescriptions that would interfere with the foreign policy of our current president. We all watch with horror at the reports that are coming from Syria, and look for the best avenues to prevent that from occurring. But as to my own views and what I do differently than the president, that's just not something.
No, I understand. I respect that. I understand that's tradition. When we come back, inside the Romney family, and in particular, inside their rather unique Olympics.